Cybersecurity and cybercrime last year was the third largest economy in the world. The United States had $30 trillion in GDP. China had $20 trillion in revenue in their GDP. And then cybercrime came next. That's 10 or 11 trillion, depending on who you believe, criminal profits from your businesses and mine. All the businesses of the world are losing money every day to these kinds of attacks. So how can we prevent that? That's the problem we've been trying to solve.
So today's guest is Craig Taylor, a former CISO turned founder of CyberHoot, who's on a mission to train 1 billion people to outsmart AI scams using psychology, not panic. What's the most convincing AI scam you've seen? And what made it so dangerous?
Great question. One of the most convincing AI scams was a series of emails an individual received. Here's the summarization. This individual had visited a veterinary clinic with his dog and paid a large sum of money to the veterinary clinic for treatment of the dog and complained about it on social media. And then he tells me he started receiving some emails relating to that event. One in particular was very believable. It came from his veterinary clinic. It had the context of the email was basically, we heard you were complaining about your invoice on social media. We think we can adjust it to reduce the fee. Would you mind completing this miniature survey or at least answer a couple of questions so we can better reduce the bill? But it was a fake email, a phishing attack. And when he clicked the link, the email passed through what's called an evil proxy malicious software or malware. And the basic summary is when we're in our email systems, we have a token passed to the email server every time we do something in our Yahoo Mail, Gmail, O365 Mail, identifying us as having authenticated with multi-factor. And this is the little token that's shared with the email provider to make sure you don't have to authenticate every time you open a new email. Every time you send an email, it knows that you're already authenticated. It's called a session token. I hope that's clear. When you click on this malicious link, that was a discount on your veterinary bill. It reached into his computer and stole his session token and gave it immediately to the hacker who logged into his email account and started scraping it for email addresses that he had emailed before and sending all of those different email addresses a new attack. A fake invoice in some cases. In other cases, it was another phishing email to steal their token. And it was like a domino effect. Once his account was breached, then multiple friends and people he knew, their accounts were breached. And this is happening more and more regularly today as people are on social media and AI can ingest that content and then put really specific targeted phishing emails to those people.
Definitely. I think it's so important to be careful because it's almost like they know you.
Yes.
Like it's like you went to the event and then you left and got this email. It feels so real. It's like something you really have to click. So what do you advise for people to do when they get that impulse? Oh my gosh, I need to click.
The simple answer is respond to email, don't react. What does that mean? If you could put a pause between some emotional experience you just had with a loved one, a friend, stranger for that matter, if you react to the direct stimulus, your reaction's probably not going to be ideal. But if you put a little pause, take a deep breath. Wim Hof says deep breathing. Inhale, pause, exhale, then respond. You've supplied your brain with oxygen because oftentimes when we have a stress response, we breathe shallow. Something bad's happening. Oh, I better prepare to run away or something. But when you take that deep breath, you give yourself time and energy to think and respond carefully. I've done hundreds of incident responses. So someone's been compromised. Here's the practical advice. If you're a business owner here, we're talking about tech for founders here. So a lot of folks run their own business. You might be able to do what I've just described, but do you trust that all of your employees would be able to do that? Probably not. And if one of those employees clicks that link, then you're in the same boat as the city of St. Paul, Minnesota was, completely down from a ransomware attack. They had to call in the National Guard and the FBI to help run the city and respond. It was a nightmare. And this is happening every single place in the world, every day, multiple times a day. To put it in real focus for you as a founder, cybersecurity and cybercrime last year was the third largest economy in the world. The United States had $30 trillion in GDP. China had $20 trillion in revenue in their GDP. And then cybercrime came next. That's 10 or 11 trillion, depending on who you believe. Criminal profits from your businesses and mine, all the businesses of the world, are losing money every day to these kinds of attacks. So how can we prevent that? How can we create resilience in our human firewalls, the employees in our businesses? That's the problem we've been trying to solve at CyberHoot. We have studied this problem, and largely one of the biggest problem we face across the industry is employees who have given up learning how to protect themselves. They've disengaged because the cybersecurity industry has been punishing end users for failure for the last 25 years. Have you received that fake email from your IT department to test whether you will open it, click on it, maybe even provide credentials? That's called attack phishing. It's a fake email designed to measure if you can spot and avoid phishing attacks, but it's measuring what you don't know. The problem of disengagement and apathy is rampant across all these businesses of the world, which is leading to people clicking on that really appealing email because they don't have the understanding of how to avoid it or spot it and avoid it. So it's based on punishment theory. And what we've done at CyberHoot is flip that script. Instead of punishing the bad behaviors to reduce employees clicking on fake emails, we use positive reinforcement theory, which says if you reward good behaviors or the behaviors you want to see more of,
Yeah.
you're going to change employee behaviors in the long run. You're going to improve and increase engagement. That's all it takes, is to have employees engage with the materials that we provide. We have Hootfish. Hoot on my mug. This is the Hootfish mug. This Hootfish is a positive reinforcement exercise designed to walk an employee through an email and teach them the rubric, the puzzle pieces, if you will, of phishing attacks. Is the sending domain, the first thing you want to do is look at the sender. If
Yeah.
it's let's say a Netflix email, what we have been able to do at CyberHoot is drop the I in Netflix to teach you how typo-squatted domain names work. A hacker will send an email that
Yeah.
looks like Netflix or Microsoft or Amazon or any of the big vendors out there, and they will register a domain name that is only off by one or a few letters. But unfortunately, users don't know what that is, and they've never engaged enough to learn it. So in our exercise, we require every employee to go through this exercise and choose safe or unsafe for the sender, subject, and then the greeting, and then the language quality around spelling, punctuation, and grammar, and then the emotional impact of that email or the urgency of that email. Those are two things that hackers know. If we can give a high emotion or urgency, people will be more likely to react and click. We also cover links to external websites hidden behind percentage signs or shortened URLs like bit.ly. And attachments. Those are the puzzle pieces of phishing. We reward the employees for doing these assignments with gamification, certificates of completion, continuing education credits, friendly competition between employees who have avatars that grow in ferocity from a baby owl to a sword-wielding owl. It's made fun. We've destroyed the punishment approach and we've replaced it with positive reinforcement. And 80 years of cybersecurity, or sorry, not cybersecurity, 80 years of psychology has proven that if you reward good behaviors, people internalize them. They enjoy learning more and they engage more. So it actually solves the problem of low morale, disengaged employees, high risk of breach with better morale, more engagement, and cyber literacy skills because of the way we've approached it. We've taken that negative reinforcement, turned it into positive reinforcement. It's actually not negative reinforcement. It's punishment and turned it into positive reinforcement. That's what founders listening to this podcast have to understand. You must
Definitely.
engage employees through positive reinforcement. When they report the phish properly, have a random gift card delivery to those employees who have identified and successfully spotted phishing attacks. Make it fun. Even though you're punishing for clicking, you can still add rewards to keep that engagement up. But if you really are having a hard time with your employees engaging and your people clicking, or your IT flooded with inquiries, is this a phish, Mr. IT person or Mrs. IT person? I can't tell. Then you might consider switching to a CyberHoot type product, which does all of that for you, fully automated, 100% administration free almost.
Honestly, going through that email, how to check an email is going to be so valuable for so many people, not just including founders. Everyone needs to know this. Positive reinforcement is important because I think people they feel bad. Like people feel bad when they clicked on the phishing email, even though they're not the bad person in that situation. Why is it like this?
Cybersecurity has been operating in a vacuum or a bubble for 30 years. It's a young profession.
Yeah.
Think about medicine 200 years ago. It wasn't great and it wasn't all that helpful in many cases. Cybersecurity is a young profession. They haven't taken a multidisciplinary approach yet. Many people want the right thing. Their honest intention is to stop clicking, but their approach is leading to disengaged, uneducated employees who give up. I'm just going to
Yeah.
forward everything to IT instead of trying to learn how this works because no one's ever taught me. All that happens is I click something by accident and I'm punished with a 35-minute video. It does not work. Think about some analogies on why positive reinforcement works. If you have a pet, let's say it's a dog, and you want to train it to sit and to stay and to come when it's called, do you do that with a shock collar? Is that likely to cause a wonderful experience for anybody? Or do you do it with treats, like little food nuggets that the dog loves? And so you say, come, he sit, you give him a nugget, and he repeats it because they want that positive reinforcement. Before long, you don't have to give the treat. You just ask the dog, come, and the dog comes. And they've internalized the knowledge. That's what we're applying to cyber literacy training. What about parenting? The same thing applies. If you have a son or daughter, temper tantrum, you don't punish the temper tantrum. You talk to the child about what happened, what were they experiencing, what were they thinking, how were they feeling? And then we talk about better alternatives in the future to or go for a walk or coping mechanisms, and you reward those when you see them. The child begins to cope with their difficulties, their temper tantrums
Mhm.
reduced, which is the
Yeah.
ultimate goal to teach intrinsically how to handle emotions, right? The way to get there is to reward good behaviors, not punish temper tantrums, because that'll just lead to more temper tantrums. Everything we think about in this world has positive reinforcements for behaviors we want to see more of, and we eliminate or reduce the punishments of the behaviors we want to see less of. That's what works. So this is what we've learned and what we've approached cyber literacy training at CyberHoot with. We also send videos that we produce each year on a bunch of other topics to quickly 3-minute videos, micro trainings to teach employees about other areas of risk around password hygiene, for example, or the importance of multi-factor or adopting passkeys or Wi-Fi security. We explain these in short videos so employees are always up to speed on emerging threats they face.
Yeah, definitely.
Password hygiene is the second leading cause of breaches. Having a VPN into your company without multi-factor, not providing employees a password manager. Psychologists have said the human mind can only contain a certain amount of information, and passwords are really hard to remember, especially good ones that are 15 characters long. The only way for this to work is to adopt a password manager. Then you can have randomly generated 15-character passwords automatically inserted in the websites you visit. If you click on a LinkedIn profile recommendation, but it's not LinkedIn, your password manager would sit there going, I don't know where we are. I'm not going to send you, I'm not going to put any passwords into this website because it's not linkedin.com. Password managers have enormous value to people to help both prevent breaches, but also to create unique, long, and strong passwords everywhere you go. And more recently, identity and access management has introduced passkeys. Always use them if you can, because they can't be stolen and reused on other websites. They are tied to the website and your laptop or your workstation, and they cannot be stolen. They're cryptographic hashes. They represent multi-factor authentication in a single step. So it's a really incredible development in cybersecurity over the last 2 to 3 years, and I think it's going to grow exponentially in the future.
So biometric as well, would you
Well,
say?
biometrics are okay, but biometrics can be stolen, right?
Oh.
Your face print can be faked. Your face print can be stolen. Your fingerprint can be fake, can be stolen. If it's not paired with some random data, which is what keys takes your
Yeah.
password and creates a cryptographic hash, a one-way hash that says, if you have this private key and I have your public key and we communicate together, I can identify Panida as who she is, but only between her workstation that she's on now and the website. Or if you store that inside your one password or your password manager, which I like that password manager, you can use it off your phone or other places. But the reality is that passkeys prevent the theft and reuse of passwords, and they represent an evolution in identity and access management online. Highly recommend them.
What's the most under-discussed risk you see coming?
Oh my goodness. I was just looking at this morning. There were a lot of benefits of AI to cybersecurity around identifying vulnerabilities. AI scanners can scan your software, identify vulnerabilities, and give you the solution. Patch this software to this version, and you're done. Fix this variable inside your application to boundary check it so that someone can't stick into this input field 1,000 characters and overwrite the buffer. And then whatever's at the end gets run as machine code with the privileges of your application. So it's scanning code and saying, here's how you fix it. And it can even give you the snippet of code. These are wonderful developments.
Yeah.
On the bad side, hackers can do the same. They can scan your code architecture, identify zero-day vulnerabilities, and exploit them. So you have to get on board AI and begin using it to defend, because the hackers are using it to attack. That's one example. AI is also helping in log monitoring. We're seeing an increase in failed logins from somewhere else in the world, and we've never seen that before. That's an alert. We want to research that and respond to it. So there's all kinds of different avenues. AI is helping us in CyberHoot. We use it to have a support chatbot on our website. So it's inside our application. If you say, oh, I'm not sure how to do X, Y, or Z, you can ask the chatbot. It's been trained on a bunch of knowledge base articles to respond. So there's a use case that's quite powerful, because we sell CyberHoot everywhere in the world in 13 languages. We're a US East Coast based company. We have people throughout the US, but if you're in Thailand, you have a different time zone. When you want help, we're not here, but you can get it in the application through the chat. If you need more help, you can email us. AI is becoming the great enabler for moderate-sized businesses to compete with enterprises. We have a David and Goliath here. CyberHoot is competing with very large companies, and we're winning because we're using positive reinforcement in everything we do.
I love that AI allows you to do that. But you're right, AI allows you both good and bad. So if you're doing good, you need to use AI to protect yourself.
Yes.
How did you go from corporate CISO to first-time founder? What scared you most about that jump?
I was fired in 2014 from a job at a large US bank. There's a lot of reasons that go behind the scenes around why that happened. I don't need to get into them, but I had to soul search for my career. I had been in Fortune 500 for 20 plus years and thought I could do this better myself if I treated employees differently. I built my own company. I had a real opportunity. I was no longer employed. I had 3 to 4 months to think about what was next. I wanted to be in the driver's seat of my own life and career, where when you're working for Fortune 500 or 1,000 companies, you're really reacting to what they are driving. They're saying you have to accomplish A, B, and C. I wanted to make a difference. It brings value. I have a degree in psychology from 30 years ago. I studied operant conditioning, Pavlov's dog, rewards versus punishments. People pay more attention when rewarded for good things. I saw an opportunity here to take this cybersecurity field, this emerging field, and maybe point it in a new direction towards changing behaviors. This week at the Black Hat briefings in Las Vegas, this is an annual conference, security researchers proved or put out a new study that said fake email or gotcha phishing testing that we're all familiar with, that we talked about earlier, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It leads to disengagement. Employees stop caring. They don't even watch the videos they get assigned when they fail a phishing test.
Yeah.
It's like an exclamation point on CyberHoot. We're fun, entertaining, educational, and create that through all of these approaches we've talked about.
I think we're ending this podcast on a great point. Thank you, Craig, for sharing your insights and teaching us cybersecurity can be more than just fear-based emails, but it can be positive reinforcement and fun. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Panida.